I always describe dreams as night poetry. And you know how poetry, when you first get a poem at school and you read it, and your first instinct, I don't understand this. And then you say, let me teach you what symbols are. Let me teach you what metaphor is. Let me teach you what punning is, alliteration, assonance, figurative language, pathetic fallacy, and nature mirrors a character's mood. And then you, with those tools, armed with those tools, you are taught to go back to the poem and go by it line by line and unpick the meaning beneath the surface. And suddenly the poem becomes a world of possibility. You realize it's saying so many things, like art, like great art. You interpret your dreams in exactly the same way, like night poetry, but the poem is all about your mindset. Dreams are all about you. They're created by you and for you, and they're all about you. They don't happen to you. You actually are the creator of them.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spiritual Forum. I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is a voice of hope, inspiration, and awakening, and every guest I have on is in some way here to bring you hope, inspiration, or awakening. And practical spiritual living is about you living your life today. It's not about anything beyond that. It's about how you can live your best life, aligned with the divine, aligned with how you were meant to be. So let me introduce you to my guest today. Her name's Theresa Cheung. She's a best-selling author and public speaker. She's been writing about spirituality, dreams, and the paranormal for the past 30 years and was listed by Watkins Mind Body and Spirit magazine as one of the 100 most spiritually influential living people. She has a degree in Theology and English from King's College, Cambridge University, frequently collaborating with leading scientists and neuroscientists researching consciousness. She hosts her own UK health radio healing Power of Dreams weekly live show, as well as her own spiritual podcast called White Shores. She's the author of so many books. I thought there were 50. She just told me there were over 100. I can't believe that. We'll be talking about that. But her most recent book is her first novel, and it's titled NightBorn. Welcome, Teresa.
Hello, Reverend Carol. What an honor to be here, and thank you for your patience and your beauty, the backdrop and everything. It looks lovely. And what you said in the beginning, it so speaks to me. Thank you for all you do. And you are living my dream, because that's what I wanted to be. Actually, when I went to Cambridge, I went fully intent to become ordained and to become a reverend. My life took another path, so I'm kind of you're living my dream.
That always happens. Life always takes another path. We have to step into it. We have to step into where we're called. So your life's been amazing. So I'm just going to ask you 3 really quick questions, and then we'll get into your story. So for you, Teresa, are you a sunrise or a sunset person?
Sunrise. And sunset.
I am too.
I do. I guess because I'm a dream expert, I have to be a sunset one as well, because dreams are born in the dark. So I guess I'm a mixture of both. As I get older, I'm actually sort of like waking in the early hours of the night as well, and finding that's when I'm really creative and productive. I do think it's the sacred hour, the sacred call to prayer, those early mornings when the world is quiet. And I found that's a great way for me to write, to think, to meditate. So yeah, as I get older, I think I'm probably maybe going the other way. But I do like early mornings. I like to get the day started and to start with gratitude and a positive vibe. It doesn't always stay that way.
By sunset.
No.
It's a challenge. The more early morning is so magical to me too. It's just like so magical, especially if no one else is around. But I don't know, every morning my house faces east, and so I see the sunrise every morning, and every single one is absolutely phenomenal. So
I'm jealous again. How beautiful. Whereabouts in the world do you live?
I live in Wisconsin, U.S., and so I kind of live in the country, and I overlook beautiful pines and wetlands and a little lake out in the distance. But the sun rises right out my window, and it's just the most magical time. Sunsets are gorgeous, but sunrise has it's like all the little elves and fairies are out or something.
I could not agree more.
Okay, next one is, can you name a happy place that you have?
Oh, with my doggy.
Yeah.
He is my soul. As many people who've I was never a doggy person. I was always a cat person. I still am. I love all animals. But my children, as often happens, said, "We want a dog, we want a dog." And now, of course, I've inherited the dogs because they've left home. But my little dachshund, Arnold, he is my happy place.
I love dachshunds. They're my favorites. I don't have dachshunds now, but I've had 2, and they are the most funny dogs.
The time not spent with him feels like wasted time, and he's actually here watching me at the moment. I take him most everywhere, but it's that's with dogs because their lifespan is so short.
Yeah.
You do they do teach you to really, really treasure every moment with them and create memories, and I find myself wanting to make my dog happy more than myself.
I love that. I get that. We spend all day long opening and closing doors for dogs. They wanna go out,
And
come
cat,
in, want
we have a
out.
cat as well. The cat rules though, I must say, I mean, respect. My cat completely owns it and just looks with such disdain, and rules the house in a different way. But my doggy, Arnold, I gave him a big name because he's little, and I wanted to boost his self-esteem. So he's Arnold.
Dachshunds usually don't have trouble with self-esteem. I think they think they're bigger dogs than they are.
No, but I don't know why they have to bark at everything. That's the
Yeah.
only hilarious thing. That,
Yeah,
"Oh, there's
yeah,
a leaf
they do.
fallen outside. How dare it? How dare it fall? I must alert you to it."
That's what our 2 dachshunds did when we had one. They're so fun. Okay, well, I could do a whole podcast on dachshunds, but we
Oh,
gotta move
please.
on.
It's God spelt backwards, of course, dog, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly, exactly. Okay, do you have a word or phrase that guides your life?
Oh, many of them. Um, Look within is something I tell myself a lot when I'm triggered or things aren't going my way. And it's look within. What is this teaching me? What am I projecting? Why is this triggering me? What does it matter what's happening out there when I should be focusing on what's going on within and finding inner peace and understanding there first? I think look within is something I say to myself quite a lot when I'm feeling stressed, or triggered in some way. It's look within.
That's a great reminder. Great reminder. There's a lot of stuff out there that we get distracted, like we get pulled out into that stuff.
Yeah.
But the spiritual path really is about
Pull it
looking
back.
within.
Gotta pull back my power.
Yeah. Yep.
Pull back my power because I'm externalizing, I'm projecting, I'm giving my power away and letting it my mood be dictated by what's outside of me, which is a very tempting thing to do when you're a human being. We're in this earth school. There are all these challenges going on, and it's so easy to identify with them. And I guess the spiritual path is to learn not to do that, to have compassion for it, and understand it's either a lesson or a blessing. And that's the journey of all our lives. I think. I
Mhm.
think it gets somewhat easier when you're older because you have this memory bank of experience, and you say, "I've been here before. I recognize this pattern." And I look at young people and I can see them externalizing and their moods going up and down by what happens. And you just have to understand that's their journey, that's their path. They need to come to their own understanding that it all starts within. You can't heal yourself from the inside out, can't have that inner power, that inner resilience. You are a reed blown in the wind.
Oh, indeed. And I was there in my 20s and 30s too, so I get it.
I think it's part of the life journey, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
there are some young people born who just seem to be wise souls. They seem to get it from a young age. I wasn't one of those people. I think it wasn't actually into my 50s that I started to really, really walk my talk because I was writing all these spiritual books, but it's all theory.
Yeah, 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 I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Just singing along, was quite happy, and it's easy to be spiritual when you're young and you're beautiful and you're getting opportunities. Very easy, isn't it? I look at all these YouTubers and think, well, yeah, let's just see what happens when you have a big life shock.
Right.
That's when you really know.
Yeah.
I not I love the fact that there are many, many young spiritual guides and advisors and gurus out there. I love the fact that spirituality is mainstream, power to it. But for me, it doesn't feel real until, I would like a bit more maturity when someone has had the school of hard knocks. You know, someone
Yeah.
just saying at a very young age, I had this experience and now I can tell you what to do with your life. Okay, great, but yeah.
That's a great thing about aging. It really is. The wisdom and the perspective.
I do
It
see
really
it.
is a beautiful design.
It is. I think I actually I would not want to. Wasn't it Jonathan Swift said, "Who anyone who wishes to be younger is a fool," or
Uh-huh.
something like that? Because it's the gathering wisdom, isn't it? And you realize the beauty of letting go and learning and growing, and actually getting older is the big adventure. It is the
It is a
ex-
big adventure.
yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one who is wise wishes to be younger. That's the quote, Jonathan Swift.
Okay. Love it. All right. Okay. Teresa, I know you have a back end because you're a caretaker.
Yes.
So let's do your story kind of briefly, and then we're going to jump into talking about dreams.
Yes. My story is I'll do it as quickly as I can. I was born into a family of psychics and spiritualists. So from a very young age, I went to demonstrations of mediumship. It was a very spiritual family, dream decoding, talking about your dreams, believing in an invisible world beyond the material was what I considered to be normal. But it wasn't until I was home educated as well, until I was I don't know, still don't know how it happened. I had a lucky break because I applied to Cambridge University on a whim. I didn't think it would happen because many other institutions here in the UK rejected me because this was back in the 80s when homeschooling was considered no, too alternative. But something, the dean at King's College, Cambridge, looked at my application. I sent in some essays and saw something and called me in, and I couldn't believe it, and was offered a place. At the time, I was thinking of entering the ministry. As I said at the beginning, I had a passion to preach the message. But when I went to Cambridge, I studied all religions, and I realized that perhaps my calling was to be a researcher, a gatherer of information, and see the beauty, the light in all religions. And I became what a lot of people are these days, which is maybe spiritual, but not necessarily bound to one specific religion. I see the joy and the beauty in them all. And also, when I left Cambridge, I used my academic credentials that I had there. You know, I was very fortunate to be offered opportunity after opportunity to write books in this area. Starting, as I said to you earlier, I was a ghostwriter for people, not in the sense of ooh ghosts, but writing books for people. That's where I started, and I sort of did my time there. And then my editor at HarperCollins took pity of me and offered me a book in my own right, which was the Element Encyclopedia of the Psychic World, which was an A to Z of everything psychic, a massive tome. These were the days when you had these doorstops of books. And that did very well. And it led to 20,000 Dreams, Birthdays, and then Angel Collection stories, near death experience stories, on and on and on. But I'm best known, although I have written many books in this area in Mind, Body, and Spirit, almost every topic from numerology to astrology to crystals, you'll find Theresa Cheung something out there. I am a serial writer, but I'm best known for my dream dictionary from A to Z. I'm very blessed with that book. It was published in 2006 and has been reissued ever since. And people love it because in that I applied. I gathered all the common dream symbols together and did a very simple A to Z of them, and offered the psychological and the spiritual interpretation in a very sort of easy, bite-sized way to understand. And people just love that book, and it has allowed me to continue doing what I love, which is researching and writing. And in recent years, I wanted to collaborate with scientists, and I have. I've co-authored the Premonition Code with Dr. Julia Mossbridge, who is the lead scientist on the telepathy tapes. She was my co-author for the Premonition Code. And I also collaborate with IONS, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, which right now is so in vogue because of Dan Brown's Secret of Secrets, where he kind of like fictionalizes their research into precognition, into near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. And I write blogs for IONS. I champion their research because they study mediumship, they just study the afterlife, they study the paranormal. But as I said, I'm very, very humbled and blessed. I see my role now to be a disseminator of information and to play a part in this. What I believe is happening now, I think we are in an awakening because of the world being so conflicted. I do see spirituality mainstreaming. Sometimes that's in a negative way. As I said, some of these YouTube channels are very sensational and actually remind me of in the Bible when Christ turned over the tables in the temple. that's what's going on, that
Mhm,
people
mhm.
have latched on to a spiritual, ancient, deep truth, which is echoed in all religions, and are monetizing it in a very savage, out there way. That distresses me greatly. Because 10 years ago, you would never see these. I was writing about these books quietly in the background, and they were quiet bestsellers. But now it's becoming so out there and so mainstream. And I do worry that there are all these channels jumping up and all these self-appointed gurus with masses of following. So they clearly have an energy and a power. But it is concerning because there's no regulation in it at all. But maybe there shouldn't be. This is spirituality. And I do believe that, people will find who's right for them when they're ready for it. And maybe sometimes these influencers are right for them at their age and stage. So I don't want to come across as criticizing. I'm delighted actually that spirituality is mainstreaming, but I do approach it with caution sometimes. What's going on right now? That
Yeah,
was
and I think you should. Yeah. No, that's okay. That is so interesting. I think you should. I wouldn't want any of this regulated. I think that it does say in the Bible, "Beware of false prophets," and
yeah.
and so I think it's all about us honing our discernment. I mean, if we're not a discerning person, we could follow anybody, anything. We can trust all
People
sorts of
do
things.
though. I mean, what this age has told us in this political era are that people are very suggestible. We are all,
Yes.
because of the religion often being removed from people's lives, there is a God-sized hole in our hearts. And
Mhm.
people need to fill that in whatever way. Some people feel it materially, going on the stuff or their appearance, with material stuff. But there's this God gene in all of us, and people are seeking it online as never before. I was ready to sort of hang up my writing tools. I'd written so many books. I thought there's only so much Theresa Cheung the world can tolerate. And then suddenly, after the pandemic, there was an explosion, and I suddenly was offered all these media opportunities. I've been doing national call-ins here in the UK on ITV this morning. I've done about 33 of them, where they open the phone lines to the UK. Have you had a dream that you want an answer to? Mind blowing, isn't it? This could never have happened 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
something happened during the pandemic and after that awakened people and got this hunger for spiritual understanding. And long may it continue. Like only yesterday, it was World Dream Day. It was World Dream Day, and I was on 14 BBC radio stations, going from one to the other, dream decoding for their listeners to call in. This is the BBC. Whereas I wanted to be on the BBC when I started doing my encyclopedias 2030. It was like, oh, she's woo woo.
Yeah,
Woo
people are
woo.
ready now. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo woo. No, it's too woo woo. People are
Right, right.
ready. People are
Yeah.
ready, but with that readiness, just be careful. If someone you're following is trying to extort a lot of money or telling you how to live your life, big red flag. Because a true spiritual teacher, of course, sometimes they do need funds. Yes, they do, but in moderation. And they will also not tell you how to live your life. They will support you in making the right decisions for you.
They will turn you inward.
Yeah, as you say, they will help you. They will.
Yeah.
It's a big red flag if you're visiting a medium, a psychic, or a healer, and they are telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Nobody should do that. It's got to come from you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think where to go with this. I wanna talk about
Sorry, you're
dreams.
taking it down a
Yeah,
dark
there's
path.
so many things, so many ways to go with
Yeah,
this. I do think I know for me as a podcast host, I get approached by so many people,
I can
and I
imagine.
usually get on their website, and I'm looking at, like, how much do they charge? And again, I don't mind people making money. I think everybody needs to make money. But when
No,
it's like, wow, like, I'm pretty much doing everything for you for free, and you're gonna go make $1,000 for 15 minutes or something? I mean, come on.
exactly,
Y
exactly. I think that I have this rule of thumb because I do, I interview mediums, psychics, etc., and get approached too. And my rule of thumb is that if they should charge no more than a good haircut for their services. because because if someone is charging exorbitant rates, you've got to question what's going on there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have got to question. And I know, I do believe that it is a vocation, spiritual healing, and the best spiritual healers are very humble. They aren't writing best-selling books. They do it quietly in the background. Often they juggle it with their other jobs as well. But the ones who are making it a full-blown career, obviously they do have overheads, so they need to charge, but in moderation, please. And when
Well, and how many followers do you need? You know, Jesus had 12.
it's very difficult, isn't it? The commercialization of spirituality, which is happening now, it is
Yeah.
billions and billions and dollars are made every year through selling all these personal and spiritual growth techniques, which often are just basically a reinvention of what we already know. Let me give you an example. Lovely lady, actually, Mel Robbins, the Let Them Theory. Lovely lady. I enjoy her podcast. She's got a lot of good things to say, by all respects. But her Let Them Theory, just read the Serenity Prayer. That's it. God grant me the wisdom to know, the courage to know what I can change and what I can't, and the wisdom to know the
To know
difference.
the difference, yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's her entire message here. You can get it for free. No wildly expensive courses. Let them, people tattooing themselves and everything. But if it helps them, as I said, if it anything helps and empowers you and doesn't, and you can afford it, and it doesn't harm anyone else, fantastic. I say that about all religions as well. If it harms no one and it empowers you, it's your path. So if that's the case, but if it is draining your finances and taking away your right to independent thought, that's not good.
Well, and it may be teaching you about discernment too. You know, you may realize that I made a mistake with that decision.
Yes, but
And
also,
therefore
this is another point. Should you let them? I mean, Jesus in the temple, he turned over the tables. He didn't simply
yeah,
say, let them. Even he had righteous indignation.
yes.
I mean, should you let someone who's bullying you or treating you badly? Or should you sometimes have that righteous indignation? I think that's an interesting discussion, because let them can be a theory that you can take to dangerous extremes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, no, don't let them. Isn't it silence in the face of evil that is evil
It's
too?
complicit, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that can be wildly misinterpreted, I think, the let them theory. No, you shouldn't let them. If I see someone being cruel to someone vulnerable, I will do what I can to stop that. And I'm passionate about animal cruelty, for
Me
example.
too, I
If
am too,
I
it's a
ever
big
see
thing for
it,
me.
I
Yeah,
don't care. I go in there. I don't let them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, sorry, I'm taking it away from dreams to another
Oh,
realm.
no, that's okay. It's okay. I think we need to do another one on just dreams, but I do wanna talk about dreams 'cause I did not know about your dictionary. I'm gonna get your dictionary. I love dreams, and I love interpreting dreams, and I do that for some people, but here's my question for you, because I find that when people come to me with their dreams, and it's mostly family members, or when I had a church, maybe some of the congregants, but I found that, a symbol in a dream was kinda personal. Like, let's say if there's a bird, I see a bird, it might have a certain meaning to me that's different than the meaning it is to you.
Yeah, and I say that in all my books. My publishers hate me for saying it, but the best dream book you will ever write is your own dream journal. It is your own personal association that must come first. And I always give the example talking about dogs. I love dogs. If I dream of a dog, it's a symbol of unconditional love and loyalty, which is the archetypal common universal association with dogs. However, if you had a bad experience with a dog, if a dog appears in your dream, it's anxiety, it's dread. But what my dream dictionary does, it gathers together the common, universal, and archetypal meanings, the most likely interpretation. And there is a purpose for that, because sometimes people have dreams and that it's not triggering any personal association. So then they can I say, go to this dictionary, because it will kickstart ancient symbolic intuitive thinking. Now, this was a way of thinking that ancient humanity had when we first walked the earth. We would look not at things in a material sense, we would look for the meanings beneath that. Like the moon was a symbol of illumination, of intuition, of creativity, for example. And unfortunately, as we've gone through time, science, technology, the online world, we have lost touch with that intuitive language of symbols, of things beneath the, having meanings beneath the surface. And that's where dream dictionaries can help, because using them can kickstart your own ability to think symbolically and then apply your personal associations. Because most people don't understand that, say, when you, for example, dream of a wild stallion or something, or a horse, it's a symbol of liberation,
Yes.
of spiritual awakening, of it's looking beneath. It's not, you're not going to suddenly have a horse arriving in your life the next morning. That you've got to look beneath the surface. I always describe dreams as night poetry. And you know how poetry, when you first get a poem at school and you read it, and your first instinct, I don't understand this. And then you say, let me teach you what symbols are. Let me teach you what metaphor is. Let me teach you what punning is, alliteration, assonance, figurative language, pathetic fallacy, you know, and nature mirrors a character's mood. And then you, with those tools, armed with those tools, you are taught to go back to the poem and go by it line by line and unpick the meaning beneath the surface. And suddenly the poem becomes a world of possibility. You realize it's saying so many things, like art, like great art. You interpret your dreams in exactly the same way, like night poetry, but the poem is all about your mindset. Dreams are all about you. They're created by you and for you, and they're all about you. They don't happen to you. You actually are the creator of them. And that's why, what is the great power in dream work, because you realize when you're interpreting a dream just how much power you have over your mindset and what your thoughts and your feelings are creating. And dream work is powerful because it can create that inner shift. You can think, I'm dreaming this because this is where my mindset is currently at. But hey, when I'm awake, I have conscious choice. I can choose a different perception, a different thought, a different feeling. And maybe then, if I make conscious choices in my waking life that are more positive, maybe when I fall asleep at night, I'll get a happier dream. Celebrating that, you know, I think happy dreams where we're flying and we're in space or we're dancing and singing, sadly, they're rare. They're kind of like your dreaming mind, your intuition saying, well done, you're getting this right. It's very sad that 90% of our dreams are anxiety themed, suggesting,
Interesting.
yes, they are, you know, all these themes of dying, falling, being burgled, being late, being chased. These are the most common dreams. And what they come to remind us that something in our current mindset is off or is a roadblock, and we need to change it when we wake up. But most people, when they wake up, they just panic about the dream and think, oh, this dream is happening to me. Something awful is going to happen. No, it's not. Dreams are not literal. They're symbolic. They're holding up a mirror to your current mindset in the hope that maybe you won't like what you see in the mirror and you'll do something to change it. That's their purpose, in my humble opinion. But, you know, I've spent decades researching it, working with sleep and dream therapists and psychologists and scientists and neuroscientists. That's the purpose of dreams. However, there is a very rare category of dreams which defy that. And these are prophetic
Mm.
or literal dreams, which we hear about in religions all the time. And there's a way to tell the difference. If you wake up from a dream panicking, your heart racing, that's a symbolic dream if it's very emotional. However, sometimes you might wake up from a dream and you just have this calm, deep sense of knowing and clarity. That will be potentially a precognitive dream or an afterlife dream. And people say, well, that doesn't make sense. How can dreams be both symbolic and precognitive? Of course they can. Dreams are ultimate mystery, they're infinite. As soon as you try and categorize them, they go and defy you, they go and surprise you.
Mm.
I compare it to the ocean. We can learn to sail and navigate the ocean, but don't ever think you can control it. And it's the same with your dreaming mind. It's like the ocean. It's depths. It's got so much depth and mystery. You can only learn to be a good nighttime sailor in your dreaming oceans, if you know what I mean. But you
Yes,
can never
yes.
control what goes on. And that's something to celebrate because it shows that we are mysterious dreaming beings having a human experience. So don't fear your dreaming mind ever. It is your intuition, your heart, your soul speaking to you most of the time in symbolic language night after night for the purposes of healing you from the inside out, not to scare or alarm you, but to heal you. So if you wake up tomorrow morning and you've had a really frightening dream, celebrate. Your intuition loves you so much, it's created this ridiculous story to get you to reflect on where you're going with your current mindset. Look at it. What is it saying about your current mindset? It's trying to show you red flags. And in the hope that you will brainstorm, reflect a bit deeper, go beneath the surface, and course correct.
I think that's fascinating. Okay, so do you think then that it is what is the dream? Is this our mind, our psyche? Is this something coming from the spiritual world? Is this something that we are creating from within us? Some of it's coming from
It's a mixture of
outside?
source energy
Yeah.
and soul energy. It is energy. It is our soul. It depends on the platform I'm on. If it's a more mainstream one where they don't want me to go too spiritual, I would say it's your nocturnal intuition. And then if I'm speaking to other platforms which are more spiritually inclined, I will say it's your soul. It's
Yeah.
a glimpse of your soul, but not your actual soul. It's what progress you're making on your soul journey. It's showing you where your soul is currently at and where it needs to course correct to return home to source. So it's kind of like an observational view of where you currently are in your soul's journey back home, because we're all here on this earth to find out our true essence, which I believe, and it is an opinion, we are soul. We are soul having a human experience, and our dreams are trying to show us. It's like a report card, like you get from school, where you currently are at, your where you need to go for your fulfillment. Every dream is trying to signpost things for you, to help
Yes,
you,
yeah.
to help you to have a deeper, more fulfilling life. And also, dreams are reminding you that you're not just the material. You're not just logic and reason and practicality in the material. There's also your intuition, your creativity, your empathy, your compassion. Because where do we go, as you say, in this dream world? Even the most skeptical of people will have woken up from a dream that felt so real and wondered what on earth that was about.
Mhm.
It was not just random firings of the brain. The dream was so detailed, so emotional, and it clearly was trying to tell them something. Even the most skeptical person, I love it, who will scoff at what I write about or research about, but then come to me with, "But I had this dream, Teresa. Can
What do you think this means?
you?" And then we had, honestly, I say that to people who are skeptical, but I tell them, come back to me when you've had about 10 or 15 dreams, because one dream's not enough. Dreams work as a series. That's a big clue to dream decoding. Don't get hung up on one particular dream. You need to go back to the story of you, which is being told in this symbolic language every single night. You need to tune in. So give me a series of 10 dreams, because then we can look for patterns, we can look for symbols. And then we can use the benefit of hindsight to look at how your dream is like a poetic voiceover to what you are doing in your waking life. And that's where it gets really interesting, because I have not had one person who's skeptical after working with me for talking to me for about 10 for about 10 of their dreams. And I will talk about them. They will tell me what's going on in their waking life, and I will look at their dream life, and I'll see, look, you've got this poetic voiceover, this narrative, this soul narrative, shining light on all this. And what does this mean? Because dreams love to inspire questions in you. They are your inner therapist as well. And if people go to therapy or counseling, you don't get answers from your therapist or counselor. You get more questions. They each time, and that's exactly, we come in with an inbuilt therapist. It's our dreams. They are doing it every single night for us. If only we would stop being so conditioned to repress, forget, ignore them, or dismiss them as nonsense, because often in us from school age onwards, we've been taught they're nonsense. They're not
Mhm,
nonsense.
mhm,
They're your
mhm.
soul talking to you in the only language it has. And people say, why does it talk in this bizarre language? Obviously, why? Because when you fall asleep, you are in a different state of consciousness to waking consciousness. And if you went to a different country and wanted to understand the culture, you have to learn the language to really understand it. You have to learn dream language. which is the language of symbols, emotions, questions. That's
It's
what.
probably the language of spirit because I think, I think that like Charles Fillmore, he was the co-founder of Unity, which is one of my ordinations. He believed that dreams was the way, God spoke to us. In the Bible, there's 20, 25 stories or so about
Absolutely.
angels speaking in dreams. And I know some of those are prophetic and they're not really the symbols so much that most of us dream. But I do think that the language of the divine, it's not necessarily going to come in the form of, Carol, get up and go do this thing, or stop doing that. It's going to be, the language of the soul would be more symbolic. It's more right brained, I would
Yeah,
think.
as I said, it's the language of the artist and the poet, and great music as well. Music, art, and poetry that is great touches us and says countless things that words cannot. There's a reason why some great artwork or some great poetry stands the test of time because it speaks to us on this deep soul level. And your dreams are even if you don't think you're creative in waking life, every night you are an artist, you are a
You
poet,
are,
you are a
yeah.
visionary. And if your dreams are very mundane, this is your opportunity to change that. Because dreams also do reflect what you're exposing yourself to in waking life. It really does. So if your dreams, you feel, well, my dreams are a bit dull, I'm stuck in traffic or whatever. Um, well, what it's saying in your waking life, read more fiction, spend more time in nature, approach things from a different viewpoint, learn about something that you don't know, get out of your comfort zone. So mundane dreams are actually, again, your dreaming mind telling you you need to shake things up a bit because nothing good is ever found in your comfort zone. Unfortunately, it's found outside there in facing your fears, in challenging yourself, in opening your mind. And your dreaming mind will then be so thrilled if you do open your mind in waking life and do something out of routine, maybe, and shake things up. You'll be rewarded with very interesting dreams, encouraging you to do more of that, because that's how you keep yourself alive, isn't it? You
Yes.
know, by experimenting. And that's why I've written my my first novel, because I realized I was not walking my talk. In my books, I talk about this all the time. I write nonfiction books. That's what I've always done. And I thought, I'm going to challenge myself. And my goodness, it was a challenge. I wrote my first novel, not just because I wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted to also mainstream dream work in a different way, because the novel Born is about the power of the dreaming mind and what it's capable of. So when you read it, you not only get hopefully an edge of your seat Dan Brown style thriller, but written by a woman, because I do explore in my books many of the things that he explores in Secret of Secrets. But you also, at the same time, without realizing it, you get a course in dream work through the characters and what they go through and how to understand just what your dreaming mind is capable of.
I do think that fiction is the way that people really learn something. They learn through, movies and stories.
Oh,
And
yes. I mean, if
yeah,
you look at, some of the greatest movies are deeply spiritual.
yeah,
I mean, Star Wars, the Force. What is the Force? It's
yeah.
Source, isn't it? Movies that have really struck a chord. There's always a higher element to it, and the same with great novels. They can reach people in a way, unfortunately, because some people are just not going to go to nonfiction books. Like I looked at my daughter; she just doesn't read nonfiction. She's not
Yeah.
read one of my books, but she's a bookworm. She's forever reading these gothic romances and fantasy,
Yeah.
so popular at the time. She literally eats books, but nonfiction, no. They want this. She wanted the escape.
Shows the adventure, yeah. It
Yes.
it is interesting, I love nonfiction, and my sister only reads, fiction.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
middle daughter reads, like, 100 books a year or something, and she only reads fiction, and I only read nonfiction,
yeah,
but I
I'm very nonfiction as well.
yeah,
I
yeah.
but that maybe is, but I realize that I'm maybe a dying breed, because people are getting their content online on YouTube and
Yeah. Oh, I know. People aren't reading books. They're not reading anything. They're
well,
getting
when
little
I read a book,
snippets.
I can just ask ChatGPT.
Ask just summarize it for me. I still read the books of my podcast hosts, but it does take time.
It
Um,
does, yeah,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
live in a world now where it's instant. it has to be instant. If you're on TikTok, like if you're not made an impression within 1 second, you're toast. you know
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
what, and I realize I've got to evolve, because I'm very much, I started writing, as I said, in the late 90s, where books were really sacred things, and publishers took their time,
yeah.
and it was a huge thing getting a book published. No longer.
Right. It's very different now.
So
Okay, I know we got a tight time fuse. I've got so many things I want to ask you. So I do want to ask you to summarize your book a little bit. And I'm also interested in, to me, the most common dream that I hear about from people is the kind of like, I'm at college, it's finals week, and I'm not prepared. I haven't gone to class for a semester, or I've got to stand in front of hundreds of people and I lost my notes. Those kind of dreams. I'm really curious. I've heard that from so many people.
can I jump right into that one?
Yeah.
Because I've heard that it's one of the top 10. There is a dreams chart actually of the most common dreams, and it's always in the top 10, being in an exam room, back at school, or a presentation when you forget the words. Basically, what that is, it's your dreaming mind taking you to the worst case scenario, so that you've been there in the dream state. It's your dreaming mind trying to help you, actually. Usually, people who have those kind of dreams are usually people who are very successful and very competitive, and would never, when they're awake, allow themselves to mess up. But in its
Exactly.
infinite wisdom, the dreaming mind knows that the greatest learning tool in our lives is failure. The road to success must be paved with failure. Unless you've truly known failure, you can't know success. But these people who have these dreams, they don't allow themselves. They're often very, very, controlled, and they over rehearse and everything, because they don't want to experience the humiliation of failure. But the dreaming mind knows that you must experience that in life. It's powerful learning and growth. So what it does is says, well, you're not going to go there in your waking life. I'm going to take you there in the dream state all the time, because on an unconscious level, you're going to experience that. So if you have that kind of dream, it is your dreaming mind trying to help you understand that failure is a really important part of life. It is. Often you learn the most from failure. You learn nothing from success, actually. You flatline. And
Hmm.
I don't know why we're here on this earth. I have my theories, but I believe we are here on this earth. One of the major reasons is to learn and evolve. If you're constantly successful, if you're constantly getting everything right, you don't learn and grow. You grow in, as I say, outside your comfort zone. So those dreams are actually for people who need to get more okay with failing. It doesn't matter. As long as you learn from something, it's okay to mess up sometimes. Do all you can to be successful and to get it right. Of course you do want to get it right. Of course we do. But if it does go wrong, it's okay. You've been there in the dream state and you woke up the next morning just fine. And just the same in your waking life, you'll lick your wounds, you'll learn from it, and you'll move on in a higher and wiser version of yourself. So those dreams are really helpful.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's really, really, really interesting. I love how the psyche does that, or your soul does that. It's so interesting. I actually had thought that maybe it was saying, you're not prepared. That you really have to get prepared about
Well,
something.
you can
Something's
take it
happening you're not
that
prepared
way.
for.
If you're not prepared, you can take it as a warning and as a helpful warning. Well, maybe you just ought to learn your lines, or maybe you ought to have one more dress rehearsal. You can take it in that way. Again, the personal interpretation comes first. If you want to take it that way, take it that way. But I've found that many of the people who have these dreams, typically in their life, they're uber successul.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on? The old imposter syndrome is coming in the dream state. And it's trying to help them allow themselves to fail, because you really learn who you are when things are going wrong.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
really learn what you need to develop or grow within you to become a higher version of yourself. And you don't learn that. It's why I do, in a way, and this sounds odd, but I pity people who are born into extremely wealthy families, who have all the challenge removed from them. Because you could say, oh, they have a charmed life. Aren't they lucky? No, they're not actually.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's why often we see very high profile people who have it all messing up because unconsciously they've got this kind of like death wish because they know that they need to be challenged and they kind of like self-harm because they know that they need challenge to learn and grow. So actually being born in a very successful family sometimes can be the worst possible thing for your soul or the biggest challenge because you then got to find ways to learn and grow yourself
Yeah,
because
to flex
like
your own muscles.
yeah, and I know this just may not rest easy for people who are feeling challenged and are born into poverty and hardship and everything, but maybe it will help you understand that that can give you a tremendous drive to succeed and to evolve that maybe will be lacking for people who have it all.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay, so, if you've got a few more minutes, you talked about being a caretaker, and you might wanna talk about the spirituality associated with being a caretaker. Would you be
Yeah,
okay going into that? Okay.
absolutely. Yes, my husband for the last 5, 6 years has Alzheimer's, and it's taking me to hell and back, as any carer will know. It's the most cruel, heartbreaking disease. But as I say, walk my talk. I was born into a spiritual family, and the definition of spirituality is to transform pain into purpose. And what I begin to see now is that, from my point of view, my I am challenged to be a higher version of myself because the only way to survive this is to have limitless compassion, limitless love, limitless understanding. And maybe before in my life, when my life was going maybe a little bit too easy, I wasn't stepping into that higher version of myself because I didn't need to. Now I need to. It's also made me look at the souls of what's happening to people in dementia because they have one foot in this earth and one in the other. And they're lingering here, but a part of their soul is going to the other side. It's the longest, most heartbreaking goodbye. And in that way, they're on this earth. They almost become like earth angels because they're so raw and unfiltered and like children again, and they challenge everyone, not just their loved ones, but everyone who encounters them to also be a higher version of themselves and to be more understanding. um, so maybe that's why they're here, to challenge the people in their lives to evolve, but also for themselves. Maybe their souls need time to adjust to life in spirit. Maybe their souls need a little bit longer. I know certainly from my husband's perspective, looking at his life, he's very practical. He's an accountant, very practical, very material. And it was interesting. People always found us an odd couple because he would laugh and say, "What I do is woo woo," and I also could learn from his practicality. So it was a good balance. But now, suddenly thrown into this crisis, you know, the inner world needs to be built within him. Is he capable of that? I don't know, because with Alzheimer's and dementia, it's very hard to understand what their awareness is. But maybe now it's his moment, his time to be in the moment, to connect with the inner child, to see beyond the material, to have that transition to spirit. I don't know. There are many theories about what happens to the soul in cases of dementia, and that's something I'm thinking more about. Or I would love to write a book about, or whatever. And again, we have celebrities. Bruce Willis's wife currently has written a book about the unexpected journey, and good on her for raising awareness on this condition. But again, as I say, when you're a wildly famous celebrity and have access to limitless funds, it's a different story to the invisible army all over the world of people who are having this. I know I have been connected now to a community of people I didn't know existed. These silent carers who cannot afford care homes, who cannot afford the support, who are day in, day out living this, whether it be dementia, Alzheimer's, frontal lobe disorder, or any other of these diseases, which requires someone to be a carer. And all these carers, some of them are in really, really dire straits. It's because you're living two lives. You're living two lives, and there are a lot of children as well cast into that role. And I mean, cancer gets a lot of publicity and funding and research because it's the physical, it's the material, it's like the medical profession gets that. But when you have mental issues where the brain is kind of like, you know, the issue, it's the medical profession just kind of washes its hands in a way. You're on your own, and I feel that there needs to be much, much more research in it because dementia affects millions
Mhm.
of people. And if anyone listening has been touched by it, they will know just how devastating an impact it has on the person themselves and everyone who loves them. But to go back to my story, I feel that I really am being challenged by life to walk my spiritual talk. As I said, it's fine to write about all these things when everything's going great. It's like, and I have found tremendous comfort in my dreams, tremendous comfort in my spiritual beliefs. And it's actually given me renewed passion to talk, write about them, interview people about them, meet wonderful people like you, sharing healing messages as never before. And that might well have faded had I not had this personal experience. I might well have decided to do something entirely different with my life. Instead, I've now, with renewed passion, got a new radio show, do the ITV things, books, to spread this spiritual message in the hope it will reach people who are feeling like, where do I turn when life is difficult?
Well, I think when you write that book, it's going to be amazing. It'll be interesting to find out if it's going to be nonfiction or fiction.
I no, I think it would more be part memoir, but no,
Yeah.
it would definitely be nonfiction. I don't think no. I think the representation though of dementia and Alzheimer's in movies and books is very, very poor and wrong. It's
Right,
very
and you have the spiritual angle that's so essential,
yeah.
whatever they're saying out there is not gonna be delving into that as deeply, and
There's
that's so important.
There's also a paranormal niche theory going around that sightings of ghosts are actually the souls of people who have dementia lost. That's a
Oh,
really frightening thought. But that's a theory as well. There are all these theories about it, but also a beautiful theory I came across with Robert Hoss. He's a dream teacher from the States I interviewed, where his wife also has Alzheimer's, but she's nonverbal now. And he has learnt to lucid dream and meet her soul in the dream state. And that made me cry,
oh,
but it was so beautiful.
yeah.
He is able to have conversations with her in a lucid dream. I am not yet that advanced to do that. My husband does appear in my dreams, but not in a way that I can interact like that. And I thought, how utterly beautiful.
Very beautiful. Wow. Oh gosh, I know you need to go care for him. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us in this short time we've had with you?
No, sorry to throw so much on you. I just time's precious, and I
Oh, I
just
know. No, this has been fabulous.
I just hope I haven't overwhelmed. But thank you, everyone, from my heart and soul for listening and gifting your precious time, because I know time is something you never get a refund on. So thank you. And if you want to check me out, it's very easy to find me. I have a website, www.theresachung.com. Please do support my debut novel because it is right out of my comfort zone. It's called NightBorn. But if you want my most well-known book, it's The Dream Dictionary from A to Z by HarperCollins. But Dreaming of Your Future is a book I recently wrote with an American publisher, Llewellyn, which actually just got a fantastic review in the Society of Psychical Research, because I really wanted to delve deep into the precognitive potential of dreams and what that might mean, and to remove the fear of that and give people tools for dream recall and working. That's recently published last year. It's called Dreaming of Your Future. So that's another one. And the Akashic Records. Sorry, I've also
Oh
published.
yeah, you have so much.
Yes, that's with my main publisher here now is Octopus Hachette. I'm doing 5 books with them actually, and the first one is the Akashic Records, and it's a lovely gift book because they've done illustrations and got their artists to do, my take on the Akashic Records, because a lot of people think you access it only through prayer. Of course, my route into it is dreams. It would
I
be
love it.
biased.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, wow. I need to have you back on because I really want to know how you're able to write all of these books. I mean, you should be like 400 years old with all of the books you've written. It's
I
fabulous.
say I'm not a serial killer, I'm a serial author. It's a
You're a serial
passion.
writer.
It's a
Wow.
joy.
And I can understand now why you're one of the 100 most spiritually influential living people. What a great award or acknowledgement that
Oh,
is.
that was very like any list, it's like, there's difference of opinions and, who curates the list. There's been a lot of criticism of that list, because everybody
Well,
has their
I'll
opinion.
make my own list. I'll put you on
Yeah,
it.
we can all make it, but it was deeply humbling to find that happening.
Yeah, it's fabulous, fabulous. Wow. Well, Teresa, thank you so much. This is so fun. And I'd love to have you back on and actually do some more dream interpretation.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to your listeners if they submit some dreams to just do some and to give some basic dream work, dream decoding tools.
Great. I would love to do that.
To trigger dream recall, because it's a modern disease, sadly, that a lot of people are not recalling their dreams, and that concerns me because it's your intuition speaking to you, your creativity, and not recalling it is a little bit sad. So, I would love the whole world to wake up with dreams and gratitude for them on their mind.
And remember them.
And remember, to wake up and remember them and think, well, even if they don't understand them, look, my inner world is speaking to me. It's got a message. And
Yeah.
inner housekeeping is happening.
Yeah.
And that is a reason to celebrate.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll have Teresa back on. Can't wait. And I now close the spiritual forum.